Okay, I've got another boombox here, a Panasonic. This has got a model RX-DT680. This is actually the last one I bought, and probably the biggest as far as overall length, including the speakers, goes. And a much more modern one, I guess 90s sometime, possibly even late 90s, I don't know if they were that late, but got a CD player in this one. I think the CD's meant to be playing up. I have looked at a couple of Panasonic ones before, so it'll be interesting to see whether that can be fixed or not. And I get a feeling it also said the tape decks are playing up. These look like actual touch mechanisms. Geez, the eject's slow, but it's coming slowly. Come on, that door's not the best. Filthy as anything in there. Here we've got dual auto reverse decks. Balance control, volume up, down. The fact it's got those LEDs possibly means it's remote control. It's certainly something is remote control. By ampere, we've got the 4 wires. Oh no, one of the graphic equalizer pots is broken off. Power on off. Display, I guess, for the tuner and the CD. Yeah, FM modes mixed in with the CD controls. Fairly dirty like usual. Fairly scratched like usual. What have we got here? We've got a CD output. Well, that's a new one. Why would you want that? And the speaker wiring, of course, is a great big mess. Hopefully they haven't blown the amp with that. Got DC 12 to 15 in, as well as a figure 8, so at least it's got a figure 8 power connector. Man, the dust in there, what the... Wouldn't be surprised if that's why the CD player doesn't work. This one certainly looks to have a lot of dust. What have we got? A second one here? Oh no, with batteries still in it. Rather rotten looking ones at that. Is that a date on that? Something 09. Well, at least they haven't leaked everywhere. I think that says EO209. So probably 2009 they were last put in there. I don't think this box would have been that new. Someone's nicked a couple of screws out of the CD, so maybe someone's been in there. And I might just quickly restrip these covers. Probably the whole lot wants doing, doesn't it? What a mess, and of course it's dropping bits of wire everywhere. We don't want them getting into the unit. I'll just cut the ends off those and start again, because they're all different lengths, which never have them different lengths, because then they get pulled on differently and you get that sort of mess. A little bit stripped off, I guess. I won't go too crazy at the moment. Just enough length to work. And always twist them together so you don't get stray bits of wire. That could short onto the next one or something. And they're all colour coded at how these go. I think they're the same on just about every boombox or stereo system that has this type of bi-amplification, I guess. The old active crossover type setup where you run the highs and lows separately. More of a gimmick than anything, I think. I think there was a JVC one or something that actually had 2 woofers in it, or maybe one was a big mid-range, one was a woofer. And that makes a bit more sense maybe to have 2 amps, but even then it's probably, unless it's surround sound, there's not much point doing it, because you're going to get the same signal out of each speaker anyway, I would think. So we're in standby. We've got a bit of, oh, the LCD, it was looking a bit weird there, but it's gone to a clock. Whoa, that's not too good. We've got a bass woofer thing. Is that going to do that again? Something's not happy. Ain't going to do the speakers much good if it does that. I can still hear something making funny noises, but not very high frequency sort of stuff, so maybe they have blown the amps or something. Ooh, it's trying to do some weird stuff. Ooh. Maybe that's why someone's had the cover off. I think we've got dry joints in this. I'll just quickly check whether we get CD action or not. I can always disconnect the speakers if it gets too upset. It Like most Panasonic stuff, takes a while to boot up before I let you do anything. Ooh, just bumping on those buttons is going to make things go silly. I can hear it running. Oh, it ran. It read. Ooh, that's not good even when it's playing. That's a good sign. The CD player's working. I'm surprised. So maybe this one was. I thought it said something about radio worked and the others didn't, but maybe I'm wrong. Should be some switches up here somewhere. And there we go, in the middle somewhere. Well, it's dirty, but it runs. Yeah, tape deck looks fine. Doesn't mean it is, of course, but every time it does a function, it triggers that dry joint, which is kind of funny. But so this one has got a bit more into. Oh, you probably use the same buttons on each deck, don't you? There we go. Ooh, that's okay. Bit clicky. But basically working. Gonna need a major clean up this thing. It was more just really to add one of these later units to my collection. And just out of interest to see what's going on with it. So we've got 2 screws there. I guess we'll get rid of these speakers. I've got power off. Yeah, what a mess they made of that. They're not as bad as the other side though. So releases that way. Hopefully they slide up. Yeah. Oh, not easy to get off. A lot of dust in them. Ah, disgusting. Into the box is just absolutely filthy. So I think this one I might have to just whip out and give it a quick dust off, I think. There, into the speakers, filthy. But not as bad as into the box, which is absolutely disgusting. Got all sorts of God knows what built up in there. Yuck. I'm going to take that and give it a quick clean. Okay, well, I took the 2 screws out of the top because I thought they were holding something. There's only one in the middle in the back, but it's still hanging on there by something, and there's no screws that I can see. Well, those knobs are going to have to come off. I think, oh, there is a screw behind the knob, and I can't fit a normal size screwdriver in there. I was going to say something must be holding the front on here, and it's not from the back. So that's a bit of a rarity, but still feels like we've got something. So just need to clip out. Ooh, that didn't sound too healthy. Come out screw, because I know it'll come out as soon as I take my arm off it otherwise. And yeah, there was a lot of dust when I blew down inside the cassette players there a bit. And yeah, this thing is absolutely filthy. Quite an ugly beast without its front on it, that's for sure. So now where do we start? I'd say we've got dry joints. Don't know if it's in the amp. It seemed to go down with the volume control, so maybe not in the amp section. It's got its own Panasonic type mechs. These were probably used in like component cassette players and stuff as well, because they're auto reverse. I doubt they would have made more than one auto reverse deck, so they probably, I mean, these were a higher end sort of boombox. A few bent pins on the LCD, but got a lot of connectors and stuff here that could be causing issues. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually on this front board. I guess, well, should I give it a quick inspection? Might be better than anything else. I don't think it's like a faulty volume controller or anything, but chances are one of these, where these connectors go in or something, onto the other boards. There's another one. Oh, another 2 I can see. Some sort of clip-on plastic stuff here, don't know what that is. That's most likely going to be our issue. I guess. So that doesn't come. How are we supposed to get that out? Oh, do we need to lift this? Lift the CD player, that would be the key. To control. To main. Those look like they're pretty dry joint free. I'll just give it a better look with a magnifier. Can't always see the dry joints. It could be the connectors themselves, but the contacts look alright. And the next thing might be around the volume control and stuff. Any sort of connector. There's our dual volume pot over here. And that looks fine. That board looks like it solders onto the other board, does it? Oh, it goes to these connectors here, so I think we're going to have to remove that. The other edge connectors look fine, but all it needs is one dry joint. One or two dry joints anyway on this area, or like I say, it could be on these other boards as well. Assuming it is a dry joint, but I think that most likely will be. Oh, there's a motor here, I'd say, for the motorised volume control. Just wonder what the hell I was actually looking at. Oh, there's another pot here as well. Oh, I see, so this is a completely... I was thinking that was the volume control when I first opened it up. It wasn't taking much notice, but a very dirty motorised thing with... What a weird design. It's a motor on a circuit board. And a little gear across to a gear attached to the pot shaft, basically. So that's a bit of a weird setup. Don't remember seeing that before, even though I get a feeling I've worked on these units before. But whether I took much notice. It's got a scratch there. I don't know if that's anything. It's not a crack in the board, is it? I think someone's just scratched it. It is pretty deep though. Check the other side, but I don't think there's a crack there. Can't see a single dry joint on this thing so far. Oh, actually I can see one on that. That pin there has one. What is that thing? Oh, it's this other control. What was the other control? Was that just balance or something? I'm going to find the front. Oh, the buttons are all falling out of that. We have... Oh, SXBS level. Well, that was the sort of thing it could have been. And all the buttons are falling out. So that's possible. And there's certainly big controls like that are the sort of thing that get hit and bumped and vibrated a lot. So it shows you've got to check every single joint and often in the correct light. Tilting them and stuff to see if there's any cracks. Because sometimes they can be damn hard to spot. I think the rest of it's good. That's only the infrared receiver. So I'll resolder that. That could well be the sort of thing, if that's like the earth connection or something to the pot, probably not the earth. And while we're waiting for the soldering iron to warm up, I'll double check that volume pot as well in the same way. Tilt it to the light. Check all the connectors. If in doubt, you can just resolder everything. No, it's like I first thought, that pot is fine. And we've got a wire attaching this thing. It's definitely sort of edge connectors between one board and another are well known for causing issues. Almost looks like that one's been partly resoldered before. And we might get lucky, it might just be that pot. I'm going to do it and try the thing again. But it's this end pin here that is the problem. But I'm going to resolder them all. Because if one's gone, the others are probably on their way. let's put it all back together, or at least the board's back together, plug everything together and see what happens. Oops. Ah, the volume had to go in first, didn't it? God damn it. Okay, let's get the volume back on. Just be careful to make sure those pins are all going in the right places. I think they are. Get all the connectors together, clip that on. I mean, these may well need a clean by now, given how dusty this thing is. I can't believe how filthy it is. That's the worst one I've seen, especially in a more modern one. Don't know where this one spent its life, but again, probably another workshop radio or something. Is that in? That is it, I think. And the CD should flick back over if it's right. Okay. Probably should hook both the original speakers back up really, just to get an idea if it's right or not. Okay. Now, where'd the on-off button go? It was, I thought there somewhere. Oh, power would be good. Oh, it's on next to the LED, I guess. Uh-oh, oh, it's coming. Oh, and of course Panasonic, we can't turn it on until the clock's happy. Well, so far, so good. We just got a bit of hiss. And that's at full volume. I think we might have fixed that. But I'll hook the other channel up to be sure. Be nice if it was that simple. And now I've got to wait for Panasonic to wakey again. I don't know why the newer this stuff gets, the faster the processors would be, you think, but they get slower and slower. Well, we're not getting any horrible sounds out of it. So I think we've actually cured that bit of it. Now, CD play, I think if we just hit play that'll do. Yeah. Oh, skipping quite a bit. So it's certainly not playing the best. I may have added more dust to it when I cleaned it out. So maybe I couldn't hear the skipping before. Certainly not happy, but I didn't expect it to be great. So let's stop. But at least it's reading. I mean, that's more than you often expect to get out of a Panasonic of this type, because they always seem to have shot lasers in them. I don't think the lenses are all dirty, but I'll give it a quick clean anyway. No, I don't think there's anything on there. That spin motor a bit stiff. The rubber mounts seem to be pretty horrible on this thing. Might be normal, but I think this disc is like new. Yes, it is. Well, now we're not reading at all. Try to press play. It's not on pause, I don't think. Or have I just not got the volume? There it goes. Could have been the laser drying out the metal because it's a bit cool. It's not skippy yet. that. Actually playing surprisingly well. Sound is certainly massively superior off CD, and with the extra bass boost in these things compared to a normal boombox or tape ones I've just been working on, so much better sounding. Oh, it's playing rather well considering. So maybe it had more use as a radio or something and not a CD player, which for a change. There is dirt absolutely everywhere. Not sure I really want to give this thing a complete and utter clean out. Let's see if I've got a rougher CD to try it on. Oh, that one's got some scratches on it. No good testing it on a like new one. Okay, so a bit slow to read at the beginning. In fact, it's not reading at all. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, very slow. Skipping -01. Not sound too good. Well, I think that's a bit too much for it. That is, it's got some great big grotty fingerprints on it, probably doesn't help. Let's try one in a bit better condition. So I don't think it's going to play really rough CDs. Don't like that it takes so long. That's usually a sign something's not too good in it. Maybe it doesn't like burnt CDs. Very slow. Well, we finally got to a table of contents. It definitely doesn't like burnt CDs, because that one should be okay. I think there's a bit of a burning error on that one, but I didn't think it was that bad. We just can't read them. I mean, some of these things were set to the Red Book standard so good they did not like burnt discs or any disc, even commercial discs that got up towards the 80-minute mark. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's from about the era where a few are out like that. Ironically, the cheap players always worked, but not the expensive ones. And I do get a feeling Panasonic were one of the ones that were like that. Oh, Panasonic Technics, I think I had to detune a couple of their CD players, make them play a bit worse normally. Well, read that one, so that's a commercial disc straight away. So maybe it's a form of copyright protection. best. So that could probably do with a clean down inside the laser, I would think. Did I try that disc in the end? I can't remember. Doesn't like burnt discs. Oh, that one's fine. I can't. 76 minutes on that one. No. Pretty much rubbish. Okay, so we know that needs a bit of work, and I better give this tape player a bit of a clean. It's disgusting. Mainly for the sake of the tape more than the player, because you're going to put dirt and dust and stuff all over the tape. Because the pinch rollers are filthy. Capstans have a bit on them, so it's done a bit of work. A lot of dust on those pinch rollers, but I think the tape deck might actually be working by the look of it. But you never know till you put an actual load on things from a tape. Oh, absolutely disgusting. Everything needs a major clean in this thing. There's so much dust in it, it's ridiculous. Okay, now the buttons will be on the bottom here, won't they? Stop. So I was recording earlier. Oh, that's not working. I've killed it. Yeah, what's it doing? It's finally stopped. Oh, that's not sitting in right, I don't think. Of course, messing with it, I stuffed it up. It's playing the same song on both sides, that's a bit weird. Ooh, this one's having issues. Not changing modes properly and stuff. I'd say we've got a slipping belt maybe or something. Digital counter up there. I was just looking, we've got a counter reset thing there. Normal, high speed, reverse mode. And are they both record decks? Or just one of them? It says record there, but auto reverse. Don't know, it doesn't say which deck is recording deck, so maybe they both record, but this other one seems to have mode change issues. Yeah, as soon as I try to change it to that direction, it can't do it. Now I can't go back. I finally got there and died. Oh. No, it won't go into fast forward now, even though that's fast forward and rewind. Ooh. So it might be worth a quick look at that one. I wish I can use a shorter screwdriver on these. Whether they come out easily or not is another thing. There's cobwebs in there as well, I can see. So do I have to take this whole assembly out? Oh, you no doubt do. Oh, it's going to have circuit boards on the back. I think it's one of those again. I think it was another Panasonic like that. I'll take that board out of the way. Oh, it's another screw. Bit overboard really, but oh, that's simple enough when it comes out. So 2 motors. Look at that dust, oh my god. That is a mess. So 2 connectors, and we've got rid of that. What else have we got down there? Very serious power transformer in it, so you know it's pretty high power. No dates on these, I guess. Don't think they. Oh, here there is. 31st of October 94. That's a bit earlier than I probably would have thought, but it's around the era. Thought it'd be around mid sort of 90s at least, if not later. Yeah, so they did print the date on those. So that's handy to know. Now, do we have a belt in these? I assume we do. There's a great big thick flat belt in there. Oh, not that thick, but wide. Guess what more I mean. It's not an enormous one, but it's a decent one for a more modern deck. And there's a solenoid, of course. And is there any way I can get anything onto that motor to stall it? Because at the moment the belt looks fine, but that doesn't mean anything. But it's not lumpy or anything weird. If I'm stalling that motor, that is fairly slippy. I think that's not too bad. So maybe it's not a belt issue. Do we have any mode switches or anything weird? Well, there's no head switch because they don't need to, they're just switching the, changing sides of the one head. It's not like a car cassette player. So this could be, well, it depends how much wire we got here to work with, I guess. Could be difficult to see what's going on. At least the button's coming out easily. Well, we can use them. That definitely goes in there, doesn't it? But probably the other way around. And then that one, oh, which way around did the other one go? I can't see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, that bit up. You can tell from the little slots on the side which way around, but I can't really see them from here. Okay, it should be safe to turn that on, I think. Come on, Panasonic, wake up. Now, I guess we need to kind of look at this end of the mech That seems to be running alright. Not seeing the capstan stall or anything, but it's died. Something's making a noise like it's running. Or does it just until the tape stops? Or could it be one of these switches? Don't think it will be. No, it's still got tape on the display and it's not doing anything. Now it's stopped. So that's the motor. So the motor runs continuously, but if something doesn't happen, it doesn't. Well, it stops eventually. So I wonder if it's the solenoid, not. This board's starting to come off. Oh, that looked like a slippy belt. Oh yeah. Something happening. But that time it's running and it doesn't do anything. There's this tape sitting in right. So that's hard to know now. It doesn't seem to want to work even when the motor is running. Or is that because it goes into some sort of fault mode or something? That's still running, so that's got some annoying fault mode potentially. Where until it decides, I'm going to flick it off at the power point, might be quicker, even though I still got to wait for the clock to reboot. But it could be that it times it, and if it doesn't get to a certain spot because the belt slips. No, that didn't work. Is it the solenoid not operating? Well, the head's not turning, because the head should turn. Yeah, there's something. That's probably all ran by the capstan. So the solenoid should click it, the capstan should engage the gear, and the solenoid isn't engaging, I don't think. Where is the plunger there? So if we give it a helping hand, we'll either get it to work or break something. No, it is going in, I think. Ooh. Oh, it's not coming back out. Is that what it's not doing? Ah, that's what it is. That's gone down, but the solenoid's actually still in there. If I push it, it releases. And it seems to, once it gets a good punch, yeah, it's not coming back out. And if we hit that, that's so weird, and it's actuating, but it doesn't come. But whether, it's not necessarily the solenoid's fault, it's, yeah, something's catching. Yeah, the fun. Yeah, that works fine. And again, hasn't come back. Oh, that's simple enough to see what's going on, at least. That's why it makes a funny little click click sound. Rather than actually doing much, is because the solenoid. So we've got to unscrew this from the back somewhere, have we? Or do we have to take that circuit board off? Obviously I've got to take this one off. I think there's another one under there on the actual mech. Okay, what holds this together? Am I missing some screws? Oh, okay, there's a little metal thing there. I assume once we get it off here, that little plastic clip thing we maybe have to pop off. Another one there, yeah, and slide the board. and still nothing's happening. Get the heads off here. Those motors are soldered on, aren't they? Oh, this isn't going to go too easy, I don't think. There we go. Don't make me unsolder the motors. I don't think I've got much choice. At least there should be simple enough. Yeah, they're just soldered on the top sort of thing. I'm going to have to take that solder off because it's bridging everything now. That's how you do it, I think. Now, which deck was it? That one, wasn't it? The one with the solenoid up that end. Actually, I can see the solenoid from here anyway. That's starting to come apart. I think that's just clipped in there. Yep, oh, that's simple enough, isn't it? It does have a connector still attached here. Can we? I don't think we can easily get that off, but probably get rid of this board. I've got a little Hall effect sensor there for the auto stop, I guess. Or it may even be related to whether the deck operates as in loads up. That might be how it knows it's not loading. Oh, another screw. God, it's almost over-engineered this thing. Oh, I guess with all those switches on there, it has to hold in place. And it's attached to the solenoid, isn't it? Those switches move. Can we get rid of that solenoid in any easy way? How's it held in? Clipped. Oh, there's the pins and the clips. I don't think that's coming off in a hurry. So that's quite a bit of work just to get rid of all the rubbish out of the way. Oh, there's a second belt in here. Interesting. And a lot of dust. So that's probably the cause of this thing not going back. Certainly a potential for it. And we should be able to remove this whole motor assembly, I guess. It's an AR300 it's got written on the deck. So I don't know if that's some sort of type number for the deck or something, who knows. Could be completely irrelevant. So that's how we get into them to change the belts. So I'm liking this so far. This is, you know, a bit of junk to get out of the way, but it's quite a nice design generally. Good to see Panasonic still making decent stuff, easy to work on, because a lot of them gave up on this later stuff. So that comes in. Of course, it's going to work perfect now, isn't it? So when that engages, here we've got a big wheel turning and disengaging, I guess. Not sure if I'm going the right way. I probably should be a bit careful. So it's possible this wheel doesn't come back because that's pushing on the lever that does the solenoid. So if that doesn't, that just released it. Well, that flips off fine. But that is tied to it, and then the lever comes right over here by the look of it. Wow, that leaves a lot of room for problems. Looks like the capstans just pull out easy enough. So this is the other end of that lever. Oh man, That's actually got a round belt in it, I think. God, I haven't seen a round belt in any modern equipment. Usually they went to square, but some of the really old stuff used to have round belts in it. Oh, we've got a little washer there we've got to keep an eye on. Both of them have a washer on the back. So this, oh, look like that. That's how it sticks. Huh. Well, I'm glad it did it straight away when I pressed it again. Although is that, oh wait, maybe that's meant to stick there until, and the motor's meant to grab it. You know, the lever's staying there. I don't think that's right. Why is that? What's this thing here is where it's sticking, I think, on that bit of metal. Or is that meant to do that? Oh yeah, then this piece comes back up. So that is designed to stick by the look of it. So it could still be a slipping belt or something, I guess. That's what I was afraid of. Press that, that comes up. Grease is fine. So this time it hasn't really engaged. So is that gear not engaging or something? Is that going to engage with the capstan? It doesn't feel like it. And it doesn't want to turn. It doesn't go that way, I don't think. Something's not right. Oh, is that, oh, this bit is, oh, the belt. Okay, so it's been about a week or so, but finally back onto this. The weather's getting a bit better again. And I forget exactly what was going on, but it was something to do with this solenoid, I think, not, you know, like that, not retracting. And I was trying to work out, I think I actually have to pull more of this deck apart to see what here doesn't do it, because I think you spin this around. Which direction did we go? That way. And something here, I guess the end, yeah, that's meant to flick it back. Yeah, this is the bit, and then this, I think it's something, yeah, if you touch something, see that gear actually spins a bit and it should get ready to go again. But I've got no idea, as obviously there's a pin somewhere going into this thing, I guess. I think if we press that again, does it, yeah, allow us to run it again. It comes back to there, you press that in and it sticks. Doesn't seem to be the gear itself, but when you press on, yeah, that, there's something there, like catches, doesn't slide. I wonder if that's what it is. That's not sliding. Oh yeah, even now I can make it so it doesn't. So it is probably something. See, now it's stuck. Now it's good. Let it go a little bit, doesn't come out. Give it a good flick and it does come out. Now, should this spring pull harder? I mean, this is the kind of question here. If I flick it, it comes up. If I do it slowly, oh, that time, yes, it just went. Could it be that spring isn't putting enough? And this is the problem I have. I mean, we've got this slidey bit here which goes right across. So it's doing it even when the gear's not involved. So that shows that it's. See, it could be this piece isn't sliding properly. The piece underneath isn't sliding properly. This pivoting bit isn't going right. The spring isn't putting enough pressure on. Yeah, it's rather difficult to know. Something's catching, you can feel it. Almost feels like it's at this end. What's the bit? That's completely free. That seems to be completely free, so it can't be don't think it can be anything at this end, unless it's the solenoid itself, which is unlikely, but could that be slightly, well, that's an idea, isn't it? What happens if we move that slightly? No, it still sticks. I mean, it could be the plunger. I don't know how we can easily remove it to find out. It's one of those really annoying things. But I think the other Panasonic, the one I dropped, has the same mechanism in it, and the CD player was shot in it anyway, and some guy wants a radio out of it, so maybe I should swap the deck out of that rather than trying to fix this one. Something goes click, but where? Very hard to isolate one part is the problem with these things. Pushing on that a bit does something. Is that fully done? So it could be this piece underneath here is catching. Very hard to see. A lot of this you're going to have to split the deck in half, take this piece off to get to it, and I must admit I don't fancy doing that because that's going to be a real pain to try and get back together. I think it can be very difficult to remember where everything went. You have to take this whole slide plate piece off. So it could be something to do with that's not going on. It seems to be coming back to its rest position. The middle is rather slow doing it, so I mean, we could have bad grease anywhere in this thing or some other issue. This thing seems rather slow to do its bit. Can we isolate these two bits? Not really. Just the slightest touch anywhere tends to get it to, particularly when you touch that little bit. But that kind of seems to delay. That time it almost looked like it was the plunger. Can't really tell, can I? But the fact the plunger seems to shoot out at the end there, maybe it is the plunger. Oh, I think it is the plunger. Because if we push the plunger and the other bit's stuffed, the other bit goes up with the plunger, you would expect the plunger to get ahead of it a bit. Surely it can't be the solenoid itself. That's a weird one if it is, but how on earth does it actually sit in there? You've got two metal bits that don't seem to do anything. There's the belt. Let's see, there's a metal piece there. There's these plastic bits must clip in. Oh, yeah, there's a clip. Oh yeah, so that end looks like it hooks in. And the end with the terminals on it, yeah, you must just push them back, I reckon. Doesn't look the best because the terminals are in the way. Maybe you just bend the terminals there, is that the idea, I guess? Oh, and I'm pressing on something else there, which is not good. Oh, there we go, I just got it. And that should unhook like so. That seems fine. Is this bit? Oh yeah, there's a, feels like there's something grating, pushing, scraping. What does it? Seems alright now. Well, still a little graty. Yeah, there's something, it does seem to stick there a bit. Shouldn't that fall out? Yeah. That probably proves it. Doesn't want to come out, but you move it a little bit past that friction point and just falls straight out. So there's something there. Yeah, I never would have picked the solenoid as I would have thought the mech. Yeah, it's just something seems to hold it. I can almost lift the whole. Yeah, look at that. And then you give it a little extra vibration, it comes out. So catching on that bit of metal. It's not doing it now. Maybe I knocked out whatever it was. I reckon there's a bit of. Could there be something down in there? It's definitely getting better. Or is it sticky? That's a lot better than it was. I wonder if there's a bit of grit in there or something. I think I might have fixed it. Not that I trust it, but yeah, that drop seems to have. Is something out of whack slightly? Because if this metal plate is slightly in the wrong position, seems to have two little plastic bits to hold it there. Yeah, it comes out now, no problem. Oh, does it? Oh, it's jammed again. Unbelievable. Intermittent jamming issue. It's not residual magnetism or something, but then it would be the same all the time, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's sticking again. Amazing. I'm trying to lift it by that. Now it seems to be loose again. So it's a rather intermittent. I mean, is it catching on this metal face? Is it catching on? If something's out of alignment, would be my guess. Ah, if I had a decent light. I'm guessing that faceplate is out of whack, but I don't know that it is. No, we've definitely got a lip on the plastic all the way inside, so it's not out of alignment. I might just have to swap this. The other option, I guess, is can I get a cotton bud down there and clean it and see if it makes any difference. I don't like the intermittent nature of it though, but I think that's our issue. That should squeeze down there, shouldn't it? Yeah. A little bit of black stuff coming out. But only just the slightest. Or could there's something down there? I wonder if that end piece is sticking. I didn't just realise that's hollow on the end. Could that be sticking on whatever little... There seems to be some little piece. Yeah, there's something sticking up there for sure. And it's right at the end, so that would make sense. That would make a lot of sense if this is sticking to that. Again, it's free now. I might put a bit of grease in there. I reckon that hollow bit is sticking on the pin that sticks up there. That would be the most obvious thing, I guess. Maybe if I went in and... That would be it. I'm going to grease it. I reckon that'll fix it. Can't stick if it's slippery, I guess. Ah, now all the screwdrivers have vanished. Yeah, it feels really good now just from cleaning it, but I can't imagine cleaning it. See, the problem with the cleaning is you're not going to get down the side of that little pin that's down there. I can do the whole shaft down to it. Yeah, much better. I mean, that's as free as a bird now. Yeah, it comes straight out. But of course, before it was intermittently doing that, I thought I'd fixed it, but that, yeah, it comes straight out now. I reckon there's just a bit of grot or something there, a bit of grit, could be a little bit of sand or type thing, but it was kind of feeling a bit crunchy. Like something, so especially if I got down that bottom piece where that little hole in the plunger goes over the bit in the, possibly explains why it sort of came a bit better seemingly after dropping it. Maybe I got rid of some of it, but not all, but that seems fine now. Now I'm going to put it back in, and all we can do is try, at least I don't have to pull the deck to bits. I'm glad I didn't waste my time doing that. Not that I was really planning to. I thought if worse comes to worse I'll swap the whole deck over. Well, let's try it, I guess, well, it was sticking before regardless, wasn't it? So it's much freer. There's no way I can make that stay, I don't think. So let's pull on that bit. Yeah, no, it was definitely the plunger, because that sort of proved it in the end. With the if it was the plastic sticking, you should have been able to push the plunger so that it lifted and made a gap between this plastic bead it grabs onto. Basically, the plunger would lead and leave a gap until the other side of it hit this plastic. Then it would nudge it forward, but it wasn't doing that. The plastic was following the plunger, so it's pretty much proves the plunger was the issue. Interesting. Now, it's been so long, I might have to go and watch the video again so I can remember how to put this thing back together, because what have we got? One of these, oh yeah, that's the toothed one, so we know that goes on that side. I guess I should probably put a dab of oil on that while I'm in here, because yeah, I was just thinking which wheel goes where, but of course there are other ways to work that out, because we know that this side of the gear here is the bit that engages. So that's the side the toothed capstan goes on, because it basically can't go anywhere else. No, it doesn't want to go in at all. That's rather stiff feeling. Is that fully in? I think it is. And yeah, that's aligned down flat, aligned with the gears by the look of it. Though, was that washer definitely on that side? I can't remember. That's another thing I can't remember. Yeah, the bit from above pushes down. I'll just put a bit of... Pretty sure I took those washers off and put them on there because they were on this side. Yeah. Now, oh yeah, this was... I was looking, there was a pulley on one of these, that one. Because I was thinking that probably had a belt on it. And sure enough, that's the idle belt by the look of it. Is that actually on? Oh no, it went underneath, did it? Probably got some grease on it then. Better check. No, it looks okay. Better check it as it goes on this time, because of course it had to slip underneath. That's it. It's on the pulley, that's on the other pulley. And then we've got the main belt, and this can only go one way. There's a big hair in there. Now it's on me, so that must go that way, because the two bits press on the capstan. Now, which capstan did the belt go around? Or did it go around both? Probably like that would have to be the only way it could go, I think, like so. If it's gonna be that length of belt and it's gonna reach to the motor without excess and falling off. So they're usually not that hard to work out, even when you haven't looked at it for quite a while. I don't think it's been quite a week, but it's been a while. But I've decided I've got to get this thing off my bench, because it's clogging my bench up. How do I lift that and get? I need pliers, I think. Just hook that over like that for now and then stretch it across. Oh no, it came off the capstan, you son of a... It always does. Yeah, I don't know how they do this in the factory exactly. There must be a knack to it. Probably need something that pushes the belt across that way while you drop the motor down or something. Would actually be very interesting. I know what I need, one of those automotive hooks probably. Did I get some small ones of them? I thought I did, but maybe not. I think one of these things might be the go. I never used to own a set of these, because you can always jiggle them on somehow, but of course it's come off again. But maybe it's time I tried one of those. So if we can get that and hook it out that way somewhere. But of course the problem is that pulling on it, you're making the belt thinner. Yeah, actually that might work. will the pulley go through it? I can probably, oh, this is a great little tool. I think I probably should have used it the other way around, but yeah, that'll do it. That's the kind of way. Yeah, so this sort of thing, but I probably should have gone upwards so that I could pull it out easier, otherwise it was lifting up into the mech. But yeah, that's a good improvement. Now the question is, where did all these, I thought these metal thread screws went down there somewhere. Well, we can copy this one. It's got a couple of plastic, the metal one goes at the front, which is where? Oh, up this end here. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna say, I couldn't see which bit went into the, looks like it because it's a plastic post. And I've nicked my screwdriver. Man, nothing stays here for 5 seconds. Yeah, that's what we do. And then the little I don't want you got to press on them really hard to get them in, but then you risk breaking the mech. And then we've got, yeah, a bunch of buttons assembly thing by the look of it. Another one there. That must be where those thin little screws are from. I assume this goes on here somewhere. Yeah, there's a couple of little pins it must sit on. Maybe I should have put that on first. No. Oh, yeah, there's a Hall effect sensor right where the magnet is. Oh, that's right, we unsoldered the... I'm going to turn the soldering iron on. We unsoldered the solenoid, that's right. Yeah, that's it, that's where we go. And I might just have to copy the other side. Oh yeah, it's the ones with the big heads on them. One next to the solenoid. That's the beauty about dual decks, is if you forget something, you just look at the other one, and hopefully it's got roughly the same setup. And I guess that goes at the other end. No, that goes in the middle, that one. So that's why another one is good. Because, well, it makes sense, the other one's not going to go in because it goes into the metal work, so that must be grounding or something. Yeah, it's got a little bit of copper, bare copper with solder on it, so that grounds the deck. And I've got one more little screw here. No idea where that went. Oh well, let's get the solenoid back in place, I guess. Before I forget that, it's not much fun when you put the whole deck back in and then try to do something, one of the functions doesn't work because he stupidly forgot to... How does this go? Like that, I guess. Is that where this other screw comes from? Stupidly forgot to solder a switch or a solenoid or something. It certainly does happen occasionally. Oh, okay, this has to screw onto this plastic bar, look at it. And from, okay, so we'll get rid of that circuit board. And this is the hassle with leaving it for a while. Is that why I go over or under? I have no idea what I'm doing here. What does that plastic bit clip into? According to that one, it goes in near the... Well, the motor must go about there. That should go in near the gear there. That goes on that pin, I guess, so that does line up there. And there's where that screw goes. I assumed that that little screw was going to go in here somewhere. Well, he's got 5th of October 94 on the motor. Don't know if I noticed that before or not. I think I did. Well, that one's the 5th of October, the other one's the 31st of October. So they ripped us off a bit with an older motor there by the look of it. Not that matters, just an earlier batch or whatever, they all got thrown in one bin probably. And although this plastic thing doesn't seem to... Is that where it goes? Doesn't... Oh yeah, no, this is definitely not right. That's better, that wasn't... still not clipped on properly, I don't think. That must go in this hole here. Why has that not gone on right? Oh, does that deck slot in? No. Okay, I'm going to have to unscrew that again and try and get that right. I thought that was on, but it's not. That's where we get all this plastic stuff. Oh, that's it, in there. And that should have sat on that little pin, I think. There, that's it. And on that other pin. Okay, so something must have moved when I was trying to get the screw sorted. Ah, see, that's it. You lift it and everything falls apart. AR300 they got on these mechs. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know who Panasonic were using at this stage to make their mechanisms. So that must come around the back here somewhere, I guess, and plug probably into there. Yeah, that one went under those caps and stuff, I remember now. That motor's got to be soldered back on. That's gotta go to who knows where. I think we can put this back together. And I think this board just, did this just clip on? About to find out. It definitely goes under and then back on that piece. I think there's a second one over here. Yeah, under and up. There must be, yeah, at least one screw there, but something's not pushing, or is it just this cable's in the way? Oh, there's another one of those up and under things in the middle that I missed. Now that one's gone too low. That's in. That's in. So 3 lugs. Oh, what am I pressing? That'd be some stupid component there, didn't there? Oh, wow. Oh, no, that's... Oh, it's a 4th one. Jesus Christ, man. Okay, so it's 4 lugs. 2 on each deck. That one's in. And they're slid up inside them. Ah, finally, I think we're getting there. We need a screw in there. I guess it's probably this next screw I've got here. It's going to have to do. Looks like the rest of the unit's just full of that type of screw. Oh, that's the other motor. Okay, so there's 2. I had done solder 2 motors, did I? So that's how little I can remember. And now we're going to get these pins lined up. I assume these just came in from the above. I should have really looked at the last video I did on this. But usually you can muddle your way back through it. Except for these horrible wires that always end up bent all over the place, and probably got some little bits of solder sticking off them and don't want to go back in the holes. I've never liked this type of wiring because they're always fiddly. Another little time wasting design they put in things. Because even as you flex the ribbon cable, these little bits inside tend to move around. Okay, so that's in. I'm pretty sure I said the red went on positive, didn't I? So maybe we should solder that one on first, but were they like that? I don't think they came from underneath, did they? No idea. Oh, they're not going to go from underneath now. If I lift them up, I think I had to lift them up a bit. Well, if you don't want to melt the plastic, you definitely got to lift them up a bit. I think I got them all alright. Just make sure there's no shorts between them. And it's often best to resolder them a second time in case you move something and could potentially be making a bit of a dry joint. Or cold solder joint, some people call it, because I think when it cools down a bit and you touch it, of course it fractures the not so molten metal and it makes that horrible crystalline sort of joint that isn't very good. best, I don't think. Something doesn't look right there. Maybe it's just a bit of flux. Well, I hope I got them hooked up right. I've got to put that plug in properly, because you shouldn't really put a plug in and not push it home, because you're bound to forget if you're not careful. I think that went at something like that, and possibly buying some other caps and stuff as they do. We've got another little plug there though, haven't we? We don't want that cable right on the plug probably. I'm sure we'll work it out. Maybe shove it up behind that transistor or something. I assume that isn't just a test point. Oh, it is a test point. Oh, I don't care then. It says TP something, so I think that's a test point. And that should go in that little slot there, I think, because we've got to make sure we don't get it jammed when that screw goes in. Okay, so I've got the two plugs back in, got the cable routed via these little things. This one doesn't sit perfectly. I might need to drag it that way a bit, I think. That would probably be it. And then round, got these sort of caps to hold it together. That little green ceramic cap was probably meant to hold it. Motor soldered on. I soldered the solenoid back on. I think that's it. Although we've got a button assembly just out of the way, I think. And I might just take this and give it a dusting, because there's a ton of dust and cobwebs and plenty of cobwebs there. So I might take that outside. Was there something like this volume control or something? It's just the motorized thing. Yeah, I'll just give that a quick clean and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got the cassette player back in there. I dusted everything out a bit, took the top off the CD player because that probably wants a bit of a clean as well. A lot of dust in there, but it came out a bit easier than I thought. It's not too bad now. So I guess we can power this thing back up and hope I hooked everything together right. I don't even know where the power button is because I can't see. That's right, I've got to wait for the Panasonic to wake up like usual. My main hassle with these Panasonics. Now we've got some happening. I can hear the amp fire up. Let's put something in there and play. Oh, we've got directions. Guess I should fast forward. Let's play. Play. Rewind. Forward. These heads tend to come down fairly slow, but both of them do it, so I think they're made to do that. Well, so far so good. Doesn't mean a lot with electronics, but on one channel a bit. And I think it's just on that deck, so I don't think it's a tape. Yeah, it is a bit down. Let's flip it over. I guess if it's placed in one direction alright and not in the other, then it's got to be the tape, doesn't it? Was it doing it? I think it was alright in one direction. Yep, it is, so it's because it's a flip around head, so that kind of, I mean, it's possible the azimuth could be out in one direction, but pretty unlikely I would think. So if it's playing with a car cassette player, you'd be worried if one direction was down, but in this thing it doesn't matter because the head flips over. So it's not a big deal. I'll give it a bit more of a clean, but so far that seems to be working. I think we fixed the issue with the intermittent tape deck, which is good. It's nice to get it going, and I'm doing it more as an exercise and actually seeing what goes wrong with these things. Normally I wouldn't even bother with one of these sort of later boom boxes, but this one didn't cost much and I thought I might as well grab it and have a go at it. It is nice to hear one that's actually got some nice bass in it, because you realise how tinny the 80s ones are when you actually start listening to these later ones. I mean, these were probably beefed up a bit because they got a CD player in them, but this one's always got this, what they call it, S-XBS. XBS, or at least it isn't actual BS, I guess, by wiring, so I guess it's something super X bass. Something like that is what it's meant to mean. I guess I should look up the advertising on these things. I don't know, what year did I say that was? It said on the motor, didn't it? So 94, I think it was that old. God, I'm thinking 2004 for a minute, but no, 94. So yeah, it would have been some gimmicky thing probably, but well, to be fair, it's not just a gimmick because it actually works. This thing does have rather nice sound out of it. Just nice to hear a low end out of tape for a change, because all the other ones I'll listen to, not as good as this thing. Now, the other thing I might just do is I'll get this CD player deck out and just have a quick look. Given the amount of dust, I guess I better turn power off. There's the screws at the back, I assume there would be. But at least the CD mix actually working. I wasn't expecting it to, especially since I'm pretty sure they said on this that neither tape nor CD worked. We can't really get into anything here, can we? It's got like the worm wheel type design. Looks like it's got plenty of grease on there and it's not dirty. I must admit, this one probably could do with the laser dismantling and cleaning. It certainly ain't gonna hurt it. This unit was absolutely chockers with dust. There's still some under the CD player there. I might just flick that out on the bench just to get rid of the worst of it. And the other thing I noticed is this antenna flopping around a lot. I thought I'll tighten that up, but what someone's actually done is they've mounted the wrong antenna on here, and it's one of the ones with the split in the bottom, but then the mount has the split part, so you need one with a flat piece to go in there. So someone's put a completely wrong antenna on there. I guess they broke the old one off. Better than nothing, I guess, but she's definitely not the right sort. So ideally that one's fixing. I might have a poke around and see what I've got, but I don't have a lot of spare ones anymore. That's something to keep an eye out for. These units I think are reasonably common. I have seen them around a bit, but like I say, I normally don't touch these newer boomboxes. There's quite a nice gold coloured sharp. That was definitely, I'd say, early 2000s one recently, but I just see, I thought, I was kind of tempted. It kind of actually looked half decent for a later one. But I thought, nah, it was all working anyway, so not much point me having a go at it. But you do see some of these ones around quite a bit, these later ones, but I never used to take much notice. And they're starting to actually be kind of old now. I still consider some of this stuff the sort of new ones, because I say they're a lot different to the 80s boom boxes, the sort of little primitive ones, really, the almost kids' toys ones. But you know, lots of adults bought them, like I say, for workshop radios, kitchen radios, those sort of things. They got used all over the place. Yeah, how do these ones work again? I've completely forgotten here. Slide back. With the connections down, I must remember that, because I think I put one in backwards accidentally. But at least I don't connect to anything in that case. And oh yeah, we had to unscrew this motor. I should know these by now. Oh, did I find, was there some easier way I worked out of doing something? Let me think. Pretty sure the last one I did, I worked out there's an easier way of doing something. Oh, there's a second screw, that's right. But I don't think it involved not taking the motor out. What do I have to take? I think yeah, all it was I realised you could take the motor out without having to undo this whole upper deck bit, or separate the two halves here. That might have been it. But I think we still have to take out this metal plate which that's not going to do. Where's my Phillips? That's the only problem with these Trojan screwdrivers. They're really good actually, but only a cheap kit from Bunnings, but they're the same coloured handles for flat and slot sort of blade, flat blade and, well, Phillips blade I should say. Which means you really need a spray paint. That's one good thing, best thing about the Stanley screwdrivers is at least you know it's green or yellow. You know what you're grabbing, but ones that don't, I think the German ones, the C&Ks or whatever they were the same, all yellow handles. Oops, we've got a screw attached to our laser. How did that happen? Must have picked up one of the ones that was sitting on the bench. But it won't hurt. There is a little bit of dusty stuff on here, and all the grease is at one end sort of thing, so, and probably dusty, so I might take a chance to re-grease that a bit. Now, how did these lens covers come off? That little clip there, probably. Don't even need anything more specialised than your fingernail for that one. And there's another one there, I think, is there? How do you get to that one? Or can we get this side up and... yeah, and that one just comes off. Oh, it's meant to. Geez, that one's really sort of caught down in there. What's going on there? Something's holding it. Is it just the clip or something else? Come on, Panasonic, what's going on here? Can't get to it from beneath. Maybe you've got to press down through there or something. Yeah, that's it. That one just did not want to let go. And we should be able to lift this up. Ah, yeah, straight down onto the glass there. The little mirror or whatever, that does look a bit dirty to me. I reckon that'll shine up better with a quick clean with a cotton bud. Sometimes hard to tell, sometimes because they're sort of semi-transparent, they're not just a mirror, so they look a bit like they're lacking shine, but it's just because they're not meant to be any shinier than they are. Can I get that in there? I think I've got to flatten these cotton buds. Guess I should have left the camera down low for this bit, but anyway, I think I covered it in another video. Yeah, it is hard to tell whether you actually made an improvement or not, but I think that made a little bit of difference. It has a weird kind of look to it. It looks a bit off, like it's not properly shined up. Yeah, I think that's a little cleaner, so that has got to help. That coming off there's a little bit of a yellowy stain to it, so I reckon we've had, I don't know if that's coming off the lens, it might even come off my pliers, but it didn't look like the pliers left anything in, so we may have had a bit of smoke, as in cigarette type stuff on there, cigarette tar or wood heater tar or something. Sometimes just fine dust, depending, different dust can have different colours. If this is out of some sort of workshop or something, that might be wood dust or something, I guess, might be a bit different coloured. Just wipe some of that grease off. Yeah, I don't think it's too bad, but put a little bit more new grease on there. It does tend to wind its way all up one end over time. Don't know if that really matters, but as long as it's down in the slots a bit, doesn't have to be on the surface. And yeah, a lot of it's probably in under these bits here anyway, is where it really matters, because they're the bits that come into contact with the shaft there, the worm wheel thing. But might as well give that a service while I get this thing to pieces. probably still not play perfectly, but at least we've made it as good as it can get, other than general wear to the laser order. Oops, I've got to get that the other way around, don't I? I'm going to hook the other side into this bit it slides on. That's it. Oh no, now I'm touching that gear, which is what I wanted to avoid. And then get the end pin of that worm wheel in to its little slot. There we go. So that's sitting in place, yeah. Get this little plate in. And there was a screw on that, which is this here little one. Oh, small headed one anyway. Now what's going on here? Something is not going in right. That hasn't gone on the end. That gear's dropped out, hasn't it? Of course it has. Give it a chance and something moves. It's just that little end bit that pushes on that gear wasn't going in. That's in. I think we've got the gear correctly in place. Yeah, everything's trying to escape. And then the motor should hold the rest of all that in place. Yeah, I can never remember which way the motor goes back in. Which bit went to the spring? Oh, that would be there. Did go the way I thought, but a bit hard to see. Oh, hang on, the black screws went in there, didn't they? The gold ones were for the... Not that it probably matters, I think they're the same diameter, but always best to put things back the way they were. They're basically the same diameter and the same length, I think. Actually, there might be a slightly finer thread on them. Oh, still screws in there alright, that's the main thing. Just don't over tighten them because you don't want to wreck the plastic. And this went, yeah, with the metal down. How did I work out how to do these? These are always a bit of a pain to get back in. Mainly because that plug likes to poke back in there. Really need some tweezers or something, I think. There's just no place to hold them. So when they put it on an angle, there's probably a particular technique needed, as is usually the case with these things. If you do them all the time, they're easy, but if you don't, it takes a bit of messing around. Yeah, get these motor pins back on, and just again always remember to solder them up again, because I know I've put them back in Sony's and stuff and wonder why the CD won't spin up, and then you remember you forgot to solder the spin motor on. That'll definitely stop it spinning. There's the other one there. But most of the time you remember, it's just occasionally something distracts you or something. Should really be using the thicker solder on that and make a quicker job of it. That's more like it, rather than using half a metre of small stuff. But I was just about to buy some small stuff, and luckily my neighbour found a roll somewhere and gave it to me, so I've now got a 500 gram roll of solder. I was seriously going to buy some more. I was sort of thinking, oh, I must get some at JCO or somewhere, and I got a roll for nothing, so that was perfect timing. Bit of plant matter or something there. Again, you've got to be a little careful of these things. This one, I noticed the white bit is starting to peel off this thing. It's just not a good design to get your fingers on. Again, I'd like to see how they do these in the factory, whether it's human hands or some machine that sticks these in somehow, or at least human hands with some sort of jig or something. I must say the Panasonics are probably the hardest ones. Pretty sure the Sony ones are fairly easy to do by hand. There's another hair. Well, that's a point, isn't it? That's something I have seen, is you get these hairs wrapped around the spin motor, and that's what I think we've got. That one's, oh yeah. So that certainly won't help it play properly if it's got some big long blonde hair wrapped around it. The problem is trying to get it off without having to take the platter off. Just disappeared straight back in there, didn't it? Come here. Come on. That's it. If you can get the end of the damn thing. Where to go? Oh, I did have it. And try and... If you're going the right way, it should get longer. This one doesn't seem to be doing anything. I think because the spin motor's going with it, does that matter? Ooh, something just spun. Yeah, it's coming a bit. Oh, it broke again. Oh, there's a bloody ton of it in there, I think. I can see something else in there. What on earth is under that motor? Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, we got that one out. I think there's at least another one. Oh, that's just a tangled bit of the same thing, but that's it, I think. Don't think it was necessarily causing any problem, but less bits and pieces that could cause any sort of eccentricity or friction or whatever, the better. And a light little hair like that wrapped tightly around the thing isn't probably going to worry it too much, but and the CD's got plenty of stuff to compensate, I guess. It can control all the motor speeds and whatever, as far as I know. Not like they're fixed. But again, the less physical issues, the better. The more it's back like it was when it was new, the better it's got to run. Yeah, also had some muck spilled in there, but that'll do for the moment, I think. Oh, these we've got to watch that you get the hand on the right spot, I think, or it won't go back together properly. And this back, oh, it's gone in. What actually holds the back in this thing? Well, there were two screws. Yeah, I was going to say I had trouble getting it out, but that was probably a couple of those black screws, wasn't it? I think it was just stuck in with something, or maybe the dust was causing friction. Actually, the black ones would have gone on the front, surely. That is where your black screws would be. Where people see them under the lid. I've got one more black screw. But I doubt they'd care on the back. Let's chuck in a disc. Wait for the old Panasonic to get going again. Tape. How do I go into CD? Well, I can probably press, is it a play? CD play. That should just auto change it. It does. I was going to say, whoops, it's not doing anything, but it's doing something finally. Ooh, or is it? It's not sounding very happy. What have I done to it? Sitting alright. Here it goes. It was a bit slow to read, I think, this one. Oh, that's not volume. Wrong pot. Missing a channel. Check the balance. So it's the balance. Skips a little bit. Certainly not very quick to get to tracks and stuff, which is often a sign they're not working well, but some of them are a bit slow, I think. Yeah, this, I think it's the design of this one. Like with the Sony, I think as soon as you press the button it starts heading where you're going, but this one just seems to wait until you hit them, then it goes. Like, very slow to design, really. And it's not real great at finding them either, I don't think. Oh god, it can't go back to track 14. Oh, nearly got it. I don't think it's working 100%. Makes quite a lot of noise, so I wonder if I did get everything back together right there. Seems a bit too slow. Let's stop it. It's slow to even get going when you press play. Oh, we've got a screw missing on the front of this board model. There's a few screws missing out of this board. That is a bit ridiculously slow, really. Another one there. No, we're not working at all now, I don't think. It's making a lot of noise but not doing much. That's right out there, so I think it's more because it's hunting around a lot. It's certainly not reading well. Takes a while to read the table of contents, but I got there. Skipping a bit. Ah, so nice to hear a low end again. That's it, last track. See, again, it could be to the red book. Skipping a bit. I'll say some of these were so good to the red book, especially around that sort of 94 era and stuff. No, that's not red book issues. But they didn't like the tracks with. So it's got 66 minutes. I think even, is that more than what was the original one? I forget what the red book was. I think it might only been 64 minutes or something, but I bet this one's got more than that. So some of them are very picky about longer tracks or longer discs because I think the tracks are jammed together a bit more. 79 minutes, yeah, that's pushing it to the absolute maximum. About what an 80-minute CDR can take. Okay, I'll try this with a CD without so much on it. This is a commercial album, only got 37 minutes on it, so not much of an album at all, but we'll see if it plays any better. Sometimes they work a bit better with if they're up to Red Book standards. Skipped a little bit then, I think. Nowhere as good as the CD, that's for sure, but looks like you've got to hit record and hold play down to get this one to work like on a lot of decks, even though this is Logic control. But that shows the recording's working, the CD's okay. On some discs it's still a little skippy when you bump things around or turn up the volume too much and vibrate things. Come on, read the disc. Skip a couple of times in the same sort of spots, so that disc is does have a bit of a fingerprint or two on it, which shouldn't worry most things, but when these lasers are getting down, and it's usually when it gets further out in the discs, like this track 8 or whatever it is, that's where we always play the later tracks to test them out, because it gets more eccentric as it gets further out. Like it wobbles up and down more and probably goes side to side slightly more potentially. So the laser has to work harder to track it. So if it's getting dodgy, that's when it'll play up. But yeah, it is only a 37-minute disc. Now it looks like that, I mean, you can't really always tell with these CDs whether it goes right to the end or not. Sometimes you can see where they've pressed it or recorded it or whatever they do. If it plays up on that. Yeah, it seems to be better. It's not skipping in that same spot. Just thinking that CD is probably age appropriate to this Boombox. This is in 1992 that came out. Def FX. Aussie band with Fiona Horn. So that's a couple of years before this Boombox came out, so I guess it is something that was probably played on things like this when it was new. And I found that CD at this tip shop recently and thought, I remember them, I'll grab that. Having not listened to them for a while, but they weren't too bad if you like a sort of, I don't know, what is it? Bit of a fusion kind of music of rock and rap or funk or something. I can't even remember which genre is which half the time, but I'll give these knobs a quick clean. And yeah, we've got one broken pot there, not that it really matters. The whole thing's a bit scratchy and horrible. I shouldn't say scratched up, it's a bit scratchy playing the disc as well, but a little skippy. But I'll give that a quick clean. It's not going to come up great. I don't know what that thing is. And it is just muck. There is a bit of muck under the CD door, so someone spilt something. Probably a drink or something's got dropped nearby and splashed over it or something. But amazingly, this old beaten up thing is going again. Oh, can't say what the hell's that, but so the button's fallen out, which is probably a good thing if I'm about to give them a clean. But you've got to be very careful with these. You don't catch them and press them too hard and break them off their little hinges or something. Yeah, that is really dusty and horrible. But this looked, when I first opened it, I thought, oh my god, the dust in this is terrible, but most of it has come out without too much effort, so it wasn't quite as bad as it looked. And yeah, it wasn't really, I mean, there is a bit still on the front of the cassette player and that, or cassette decks. But I don't think it's doing any harm there. It's just on the plastic bits now, plastic mounts and posts and stuff. So you know, if you're going to do a proper full service on this thing, you'd probably try and get rid of every last bit of it, but this was more just a resurrection kind of thing to try and get it going again. So I must admit, it does give great sound, like I say, especially compared to the older boomboxes, as far as if you like a bit of bass in your music. This actually has pretty good bass, especially for such a small system. Some of these small units, it's like some of the little shelf speakers and stuff, some of them put out amazing sound. I think there's no way you're going to get great sound out of the bass in it, but they give you a nice sort of tighter bass, not too boomy and stuff, so they're actually quite good in that sense. Yeah, some more of that muck on here that's been spilled all over it. Lovely. But I think this will clean up quite good. The front panel's actually in quite good condition, especially once you get all the dust off it. Got to do that little balance control slot. And yeah, the inside of the doors probably need a bit. And get that slot there done. Yeah, that's a real weird deep angled sort of slot, that one. Not easy to clean. Can't even get a screwdriver in there to scrape the worst of the muck out, which is annoying. That's, yeah, real funny sort of shape. Quite difficult to get all the stuff out of that one. Okay, yeah, we'll just do the inside of those doors just because that's got a nice coating of dust in there. They're a bit scratched, unfortunately. Probably the only place you really notice the scratches, and there's a hair or something coming out of there. Might be part of my paintbrush actually. And yeah, look at the inside of the front. I better take that outside. Give it a clean. That is as filthy as. Yeah, I think that's going to look half decent. At least it's got LED backlights, so they haven't failed. I'll just go and give this front a clean. Okay, when I was brushing the dust out of it, I found that the function switches, or switch knobs, fell out again as well. So I think that's the power button, is it? Yeah. So give them a good clean outside of the front panel. Looks like they just sort of clip in there. And put the other ones back in. Oh, I guess a bit of, did I clean the inside of the radio dial? Probably not. Well, not really a radio dial, is it? The function display. But it is part of the radio, but also everything else. I think even the cassette player comes up on there. We can put this thing back together finally. I will be glad to get this off the desk, the bench, because it's been sitting here a while, taking up all the space. Looks like the bottom of those equalizer pots could do with a clean in the slots there. It looks so much better without that dirt, even just on little things like that. You get all that off them and they start actually looking quite nice again. Even a filthy thing like this thing. Although I seem to be missing, oh no, what have I lost? Oh damn. I've lost my operation battery standby LED lens. I'm seeing just a green LED through a hole there, so I better see if I can find that. I reckon that dropped off outside somewhere when I was cleaning it. And that is one of the rest, but yeah, you would think they'd stick things like that in enough they wouldn't fall out, but they don't always. So there's a, I assume that was in there when I got it, considering it didn't look like anyone had been in this thing for a long time. Damn, that's Always a bit of a risk with things like this. So if you ever pull one of these apart, beware of that LED thing. I mean, it's possible it fell out. Could be anywhere now because this panel's been sitting on a pile of cables on the floor, which I must tidy up one of these days and put a proper rack up for. So I don't have cables heaped everywhere, but it's a handy way to find them at the moment. So that has dropped out. Oh, actually, is that on the floor? Ah. Well, it wasn't outside, it was on the floor. This funny looking little half semicircular thing, but it's got a little square bit on the front, so that must be it. So lucky it was just under the bench. Maybe it just dropped out as I was putting the panel on or something, but that's not a great idea, having things like that loose. Well, I haven't attached this with anything, but it doesn't want to come off. I guess maybe the eject on the cassette doors. Oh, yeah, that's all it was. It was just enough to, well, the top's clipped on. Ah, come on. Doesn't want to come off again. So that's a silly sort of thing, having that LED like that. How does that go in? How did that get escape? It's got, oh, that, okay, that was part of that stop button assembly that came out. Because that's blocking it going back in, so it was actually sitting on here somewhere. Oh no, maybe it was sitting on, no, it must have been sitting on the front panel. Ah, oh, man. Yeah, it goes in like that. Yep, that's got him. So luckily, I'm surprising it didn't fall out outside if the buttons fell out, so it must have fallen off the front panel as I came in and went to put it on or something. So that's a bit of, so it obviously fell out before I put the buttons back in. So maybe while I was messing around cleaning it. But that looks a lot better. Now it's diffused. It was just like a really bright, and you could sort of see a hole going down in there, so that would have ruined the look of the thing. Not that it's the world's nicest looking thing to start with, but I don't want stuff like that. So now I'm going to get a, I've got an actual arrow light for the volume for down and up. Does that change? No. Oh, that's weird. So that must be something to do with the remote. I've got a feeling I've got a Panasonic audio remote somewhere recently. And I've got one screw to put back in the cover, so that can't be... Oh, this one only had one screw in it, come to think of it. That's one thing I can remember about it. That's one thing that immediately came back to me. I'm like, oh, it's only one screw, where have I put the rest? And straight away it's like, oh, that's right. It only had the middle screw in the back cover. So someone had been in it at some point. I cannot get all the dust out of that. What is it? Oh, XBS level. Oh, well, let's crank that up and see what it sounds like. Oh, I've only got on 6. You know, what are we doing? Can't have mega bass and not sort of crank it up and see what it does. Okay, there's a bit of dust on the back. Oh man, dust pouring out of that hole, screw hole when I took the screwdriver out. But we won't worry about that just yet. So we're back together. Nice little, oh, I've got one black screw left over. I wonder where that came from. I think it's out of this unit. Put that back on. Was there another screw for the CD player or anything? I don't think so. Oh, well, let's remove the disc. That might help. No. Oh, I think there was one under the volume control. Was it this one? Yeah, it sure was. So my brain isn't completely shot. Amazing the little things you do remember. Probably because it was difficult to get out. Yeah, need a thinner screwdriver. Yeah, there was one there, so that's good. So I remembered a couple of important things. I guess the first couple of things I did on this stuck with me. Oh yeah. I think that'd give a Sony FH7 a good run for its money. It's pretty damn loud, this thing. Not sure how to go off batteries, but even the FH7 doesn't really have a battery thing. Oh, you can get one, I think. But this thing is actually quite a beast. Might have to have a look at the speakers and see what wattage rating we've got there. You can probably find out online what the actual rating of this amp is, but it's pretty loud. It's got a tape. It stuck me tape in there, I think. So I think this tape has now decided it's not going to work again. Now, where was the switch there, I think? That's gone. Oh, that didn't. That's fine. That was making a funny noise out the speakers. Ooh, what have I done to it? Yeah, the other tape deck doesn't work, that's weird. Oh, that's a new one. It was all working fine. Oh, now it's come up. Ooh, we've got an issue here somewhere. That's some digital thing making a noise. Very weird. So something's still not right with this thing, I think. Now it's working, so I wonder if there's something from cold that's not happy as well. It's working now. Oh, it stopped probably because the tape detector realised that the reel wasn't turning. Yeah, that's all that is, I think. Very weird. We have balance controls in such a silly spot. You bump it with your finger. That's why I keep knocking. It keeps going to one side. Turn the volume with your finger sticking out a bit, and you knock it. That's really not a great design. You've really got to hold it with your fingers a bit more carefully. Okay, so we've got a tape counter up on the display there. What auto reverse mode we're in. Oh yeah, we've got the full auto. What is that? One side then the other? Well, that's one side then the other, isn't it? Or is that one? Is that continuous play between the decks or something? Who knows? One touch edit, counter reset. You can actually select decks where you could if there's tapes in there. Since it's got auto detect, it won't do it, but that's interesting. It seemed to be playing up when I first tried it. And it is very cold at the moment, so maybe that's something to do with it, but still. Oh, I'll try it again, I guess, from cold tomorrow or something and see what it does. Problem is, cold at the moment really is cold. God, I'm sick of the dirt on this thing. Dirt falling off this. I think I'll take them off and hose them down. But might as well have a look and see, because these are pretty decent sounding speakers, especially for something in a plastic box. Again, I can't get the screwdriver to fit in the screws. What did I have this trouble with before? There, God, Jesus. I think that's a Sony or something I had the same problem. Very weird. There's some weird neck to them. I should say on the back, I guess. Does it say what wattage rating? Impedance, high 8, low 2.7. No. I guess they're not really hi-fi speakers, so they don't put ratings on them. How does this cable work? Does it pull through? It's got like a rubber grommet, so it should. A little bit more length. 2.7 for the woofer, of course. And 8 ohms for the tweeter, which may be more than just a tweeter. I bet this needs a good clean out as well. Look at that screw standing on end. That's a new one. I don't think I've ever done that before. Is that a thing with this thing? No, that one doesn't want to do it. Ah, only one of them. Yes, even when I rock it around, it's staying there. Ah. Yeah, that one's a real real master at it. Oh yeah, filthy. Absolutely God, well, I'm not surprised given the rest of this thing. Four screws holding that on. I guess with the volume this goes up to, they've got to make it pretty solid. There's no dampening or anything else in the box, just a plastic empty box with this base port mould into it. So I must admit, for a plastic box, it does sound pretty good. You wouldn't really think that. So I've got a gold dust cap on that one. Oh man, that dust in there. That's a bit better. Clean off, and I guess these speakers. Rather bad. Well, the gold dust cap is a nice little bit of bling. Makes it look a bit more appealing to a certain sort of customer, I guess. But I think this one actually lives up to the name of Boombox pretty well. Because this is really quite a serious little bit of kit. If you're tempted to try it on battery just to see what it can actually do. Actually, I've got some old batteries there which are a bit of a mixed bag. I don't know how good they are, but they came in that silver Boombox. It had like a 5 different battery brands or something, D-cells in it. I think this runs on D-cells. I should probably crank them up because I don't know what else. They've been sitting around for a while. I've been wondering what the hell to do with them. I might as well flatten them a bit, I guess, and chuck them in the recycling. Probably is about all they're good for. They might come in handy for something one day, but more than likely they'll leak all over the place before I get around to using them. Yeah, it looks a lot better. But to be fair, you didn't see much of the muck through the grills. So what is it? EAS 12P463. That doesn't really tell you anything, does it? I better go and have a look online, I guess, see if I can find this thing and what it's bound to be a manual or something for it that tells you the ratings. But this thing sounded more like a 20-watt amplifier or something. I don't think I actually saw the amp chip in there. I should have really had a look. Well, I might have to pull it apart again yet, the way that tape deck's playing up. but only when it's cold by the look of it, so that's weird. And both of them were doing weird things, so there's some possibly issue with the power or the logic, or don't know. Now where did that go? Oh, I must have gone through that bit, I reckon. That would be your little wire clamp. That's it. That's quite a clever design. Looks like another piece presses into the other bit there in the back. There's probably that slanting bit down the side there. Oh no, it's this piece here. Oh, wrong side. That bit there obviously presses in, so that's quite good. So it does have strain relief built into the box. Still dirt down that hole, I can't get rid of that. And I think my brushing has pushed a bit out the front, but I think that looks a bit better. If I do the side of it as well, clean all the dirt off this box, it should come up half decent. But problem with these speakers, you can't really use them for anything else. Someone gave me some off a JVC like shelf system or something, and I think they sat around for a while and I ended up chucking them out again because I sort of saved them from the dump. I thought they're too good to go to the dump, and then never used them, so I think I either donated them to the tip shop or chucked them on the dump. Because yeah, you really need a dual amp to run the things. I guess you can't really wire them in parallel. I guess the tweeter could go via a capacitor. You could just isolate the tweeter via a capacitor, but you still need an amp that'll run 2.7 ohms, which some audio amps and stuff will, but most other amps you don't want to risk turning them up loud on that sort of a low impedance, because you'll blow the amp chip. More than likely you'll overload it. Scratches on top are ever going to go away. And this end you don't see, but still it's nice to get it cleaned up a bit. Just so I don't have to see this dust everywhere. Filthy. That bit where the wire goes is particularly full of dust. That's pretty better. And wipe that down as well. Well, a minute, that's probably covered in filth as well. And you can see it falling off and going all over the side there. Oh, it's no catching that. So how long is that? Better do a check just before I roll up, because I'm not doing this again. It's almost around, a bit close to 2 meters, that. Not sure if it's quite 2 meters, but probably more like 1.5, I reckon. Given that a long spirit level, yeah, it's probably a good meter across here, or 1.2 across here. Still a decent length. That must be getting close to what we need. And I have put dust everywhere, haven't I? Or is that some other muck? Yeah, you can actually notice the difference now between that side with a nice dark cone and that one that's kind of light on top because of all the dust. Now that I know what I'm looking at. And the gold's definitely a bit more blingy on this side. Not a lot in the camera by the look of it, but I'm going to have to do the other side now, I think. Okay, I'll go the other speaker to clean up, so I'll give it a final test. Looks like this comes on in medium wave on the tuner, at least once you've had it turned right off at the mains, but we're on FM at the moment. Seems to pick up really well, given that antenna's a bit dodgy and it's not extended much. Yeah, long wave. Don't think we'll get anything on that. And AM. Yeah, nothing there. I forget what the, what's it, 640.
It's constitutional recognition to avoid.
976 or something, is it? Alright.
As a human, if you can
936, that's ABC.
space of whatever's breaking loose, that's pretty.
And there was another one somewhere that popped up. Doesn't pick up 1080 very well. But yeah, it's sounding good on FM stereo. Let's try the tape again. Did I take the cassette out? I can't remember what I did with it in the end. No, let's turn that deck. It's still working at the moment. Or is it? Don't know if I accidentally hit stop then or what. Must have done. So I'll try that again from cold and see what happens, I guess. But yeah, this is actually quite a decent system volume wise. I actually didn't think these boxes were that good. They were sort of mostly overrated, I thought, but this one's actually quite a decent loud system. You could use this as your main stereo. Oh, watch that track. Yeah, so it cranks it up and good bass, even if you don't turn that XBS level up, or SXBS. CD seems to be working reasonably well on shorter discs at least. Don't think it likes burnt discs, or should try another burnt disc in there, or anything with like over 60 sort of minutes on it. That seems to make it skip. Again, like I say, it was probably set up back in the days of the Red Book standards when people actually cared about them. Well, I guess they cared about them because they didn't expect stuff on the market that went against them, and then everyone put out stuff, compilations and best of CDs with more tracks on them. And then of course CD-ROMs hit, and that completely threw everything out the windows when everyone was doing 80-minute discs. Oh, we're going into negative territory there. Does not like this disc. Played that at all before, so maybe it's a little bit better than it was. And it's skipping a bit. Probably if you turn the volume down it plays better, because you're not vibrating it with the speakers. Not real good. No, I can't read that track. Not real good. No, not very good at all. I'll just find out what wattage this thing does. Okay, I looked it up. Looks like it's 11 watts for the woofers and 4 watts for the tweeter mid things per side, or 60 watts PMPO, 30 watts PMPO a channel, which I would have thought if it's PMPO, usually that's like 10, 20 times the RMS rating, so I don't know, but yeah, I could believe 11 watts a channel. It's certainly a reasonable amount. Certainly goes pretty loud. And of course, one thing I realised when I was looking through the instruction book, which didn't have the specifications but the service manual did, is of course this had these batteries in here. Oops, that needs cleaning out a bit as well. 4 AA batteries, and that's to store your radio memory. Oh, that's a little piece of junk in there. And I think you can actually have the CD boot up on a particular track, as well as, yeah, the FM settings. There's no, of course, this being an older one, there's no memory in it. It's volatile memory and it loses all its FM tuning by the look of it. That's why it comes back on long wave. It basically defaults back to the factory settings or whatever. I did find the remote. I can only get them from America, unfortunately, at the moment, but at least I know the type number for the remote and what it looks like, so I'll keep an eye out. Pretty sure I've seen those remotes before, and it looks like there is another model that's similar to these. What was this, a 680? I think it's a 670, which might have been the not so good one. I know I'm sure there was a box that looked like this, at least, you know, same general design, and it wasn't that good. And that one has a C, I think just a 1 deck and a CD underneath. So that might have been the one I was thinking of. I'm sure there's one that isn't all that powerful, so I was kind of surprised by how loud this thing is. So I'll keep an eye out for a remote for it. Not that I'll probably use the thing for anything anyway, but it actually turned out to be surprisingly good, this one. I nearly didn't get it because I thought it was just one of these modern things, and knowing these Panasonics, the laser will be shot, but thankfully that is still working. Does this have any, I don't think it's got any line, oh, it does have a line input. Oh no, CD out. Oh, that's not much good. If this had line inputs, which you could probably modify it to have, this would just make a good amplifier really, and or put a Bluetooth module in it or something. It would make a good worksite radio or something. Be good for a building site or something, because you can crank it up pretty loud, or a factory or somewhere like that. So these are quite a good box if you want a bit of volume. It's certainly cleaned up a lot better than it was. So big it doesn't even fit in the shot, and it does now. So it's not actually that bad a looking box, to be honest. It's quite impressive because of its size. And like I say, this would give a Sony FH7. I'll have to see what the wattage rating is on those, but at least this has got useful stuff on it. FH7's pretty well out of date really. This at least plays discs and stuff. So yeah, not a bad little unit, and the speakers are really good. Maybe I could modify the Sony speakers to match fit on the end of this sort of thing, but I don't think they're even as big as these ones, and probably look a bit outdated in comparison to the rest of this. But anyway, thanks for watching.